Instead of doing that, let's attack Whitlock. That's a plant covering for a plant. But at some point, I'll go into a little deeper detail.
Yeah, there's a lot of F words you could use for Jason Whitlock. Fearless ain't one of them. I'd go fat, fluffy, fake. You know, according to Stephen A. Smith, he's an effing POS. We all get it. Yeah. Fearless ain't the word, though. Sorry, Jason.
What do you think?
I don't know. I'm going to no comments on this one.
What the hell did you Joe?
Everybody said what they said about him. Now, listen, my experience with him, I was confused because if somebody's a gamer and the whole situation was we were going to have a podcast here and we already said our thoughts on that. I don't want to revisit that. Yeah. But in a situation like this, you know, where I think Whitlock was trying to have his viral Cat Williams moment, but nobody cared. Mm-hmm. Meaning he thought he's Cat Williams. And the market said, bro, you're not,
Fat Williams.
You're not Cat Williams, bro.
Yeah.
You're not Cat Williams. There's Cat Williams, then there's you are not at the Cat Williams category.
No.
Maybe he thinks he is. Okay? Maybe he thinks he is. Maybe he's going to leak other things. Maybe he's going to bring up other stories. Great. But, you know, the inspiration of him wanting to be the modern day Cat Williams of the sports radio. It fell
horrible.
However, in his credit, he did get
eyeballs.
Stephen A. to respond to him.
1,000%.
And, you know, good for you if you're doing that, but it wasn't the right kind of response you want to get.
So, Patrick Bet-David is a plant. And when I'm done with Stephen A. Smith, I'm going to go into detail about where Patrick Bet-David came from and why he's a plant. But you just don't come from out of nowhere. You know, I'm some Iraqi or Iranian with the last name Bet-David. But we'll get into Patrick Bet-David perhaps in some detail at some point in 2024. But he's also just not very smart. I wanted to have my Cat Williams moment. How is anything that I did really analogous in that sense? Did I piggyback off of Cat Williams to have a discussion about Stephen A. Smith? Yes. But I sit at a desk and do a show solo. Cat Williams went on someone else's podcast, a popular podcast, and talked about a lot of people within the industry, a lot of people within the comedy industry, and told stories and talked about movies and all that other stuff. I sat here and talked about Stephen A. Smith and went over Stephen A. Smith's background and his memoir and did basically a book review and called BS on Stephen A. Smith's backstory and started walking you through like, man, this guy's really uncomfortable with the truth. And so I'm in the sports media. I talked about someone in the sports media. I talked about someone in my area of expertise. And it wasn't at all to be Cat Williams. Now, I used Cat as the jumping off point. But I wasn't being interviewed by anybody, and my intent wasn't to, again, it wasn't this wide potpourri of Steve Harvey and Kevin Hart and Cedric the Entertainer. I mean, there had to be Chris Tucker. There had to be like 15, 20 people that Cat Williams talked about. He cast a wide net and got everybody in that wide net to respond. I talked about Stephen A. Smith, one person, walked you through his book, his memoir, and explained to you like, hey, does it make sense that he's at the top of the sports media world? So when I say Patrick Bet-David isn't very smart, maybe I'm being a bit untrue there. Maybe I'm saying Patrick Bet-David isn't very honest. Because no smart person, no rational person would watch what I did and say, yeah, he was trying to have a Cat Williams moment. Any rational person could critically think and see, like, nah, that's not what he's doing. He's calling out one person in his industry and pointing out that, hey, Cat Williams may be right. This is going on in other industries. And perhaps it's going on in the podcast world. And Patrick Bet-David is an industry plant. Perhaps he came from out of nowhere with some unbelievable story. And now all of a sudden, he's in a place of influence where his staff can sit around and I believe someone on his staff, on his team, is part of that group that doesn't believe Jesus Christ is their Lord and Savior. And they can sit there and mock me. Oh, he's fat, he's fluffy, he's this, he's that. I don't know who that dude is. I don't know who he is. People that follow the show perhaps do. But it's all, everything that Patrick Bet-David is doing as a plant is, hey, let's take attention away from these obvious facts that Jason Whitlock has brought out, that Stephen A's backstory raises all kinds of questions about Stephen A., ESPN, Winston-Salem State, the people running around pretending to be Stephen A's former college teammates. Why is this elaborate ruse going on? A smart person or an honest person, an honest person will be like, hey, I don't like Jason Whitlock because he got mad when I brought him down here on dishonest, under a dishonest principle or a dishonest method, and I tried to put him in a room in some kind of gotcha interview with Roland Martin. Again, this is how you know people are plants. Now, you're allegedly a conservative, but you're in cahoots with Roland Martin, some troll of mine, who I've had at my house for a 2-hour interview out in Los Angeles. And you're wondering why I don't want to circle back to this clown? Anybody can go watch the interview. Roland Martin rolls it out there. He just re-rolled it out there, I believe, in December. Doesn't let you get a word in edgewise, isn't interested in a legitimate conversation, has all his Roland Martin's a plant. He's a puppet for the Democratic Party. And Patrick Bet-David is in cahoots, trying to set up some confrontation on his podcast between me and Roland Martin. These plants protect and work with other plants. And so instead of going, wow, this is fascinating. I don't like Whitlock, but this is fascinating, these questions he's raised about Stephen A. Smith, because they make no sense. Instead of doing that, let's attack Whitlock. That's a plant covering for a plant. But at some point, I'll go into a little deeper detail. Help us grow the Fearless Army. Pound that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with all of your fearless friends.